Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about biconditionals. In order for you to keep up with this video, you're going to want to have watched already the video I did on inverse and contrapositives, as well as the one on conditional statements. It'll just help you out and use some vocabulary that we discussed in those videos. But if you've already watched those, let's go ahead and let's move forward. So let's start off by defining what a biconditional is. A biconditional is the combination of a conditional, P then Q, and its converse, if Q then P. The resulting compound statement, so the key words that you usually hear in a biconditional are the words if and only if. When you see these words, you know you are working with a biconditional. In the previous video, I showed you the truth table to a conditional statement, and here we're going to see the truth table to a biconditional statement. So, if we have a true, remember P represents our hypothesis and Q represents our conclusion. So if we have a true hypothesis and a true conclusion, we will result with a true biconditional statement. Now, if we have a false hypothesis and a false conclusion, then we also result in a true biconditional. If one or the other is true or false, if they are basically opposites, if we have a hypothesis that's true and a conditional that's false, or a conclusion that's false, if we have a conclusion that's true but a hypothesis that's false, in both cases we will end up with a false biconditional. For biconditionals, our conclusion and hypothesis have to have the same truth values in order for us to result with a true biconditional. So either both have to be true or both have to be false. If it's one or the other, then we end up with a false biconditional statement. So let's go ahead and let's get into some examples of biconditional statements and what they look like. And what we're actually going to be doing today is something really common in geometry where they make us take a biconditional and write two conditional statements from it. So here's an example of our first biconditional statement. We have a month has exactly 28 days if and only if it is February. So let's go ahead and write two conditional statements from this biconditional. So here we have one part of our biconditional statement, and here we have the other. It is February. So the first conditional statement that I'm going to write is going to be if a month has exactly 28 days. So if a month has exactly 28 days, then it is February. That'll be my first conditional statement. Okay. Now, the other easy way to get another conditional statement out of this is going to be simply to reverse those two. I'm going to put the conclusion that I have right here, then it is February, as my hypothesis, and then I'm going to move my hypothesis as my conclusion. So now let's go ahead and let's do that. So instead of saying if a month has exactly 28 days, I am now going to say if it is February, or if the month is February, I have a comma, and now I'll say then it has exactly 28 days. And this is how we can write two conditional statements. Again, these are separate. Here we have one, and here we have two conditional statements from one biconditional statement. So now let's go ahead and let's do this one more time. Here we have another statement saying, two angles are complementary if and only if their measures add up to 90 degrees. So we know this to be true. Complementary angles mean that those two angles add up together to get you 90 degrees. So here we have one statement, and here we have the other. So again, all I'm going to do is basically add the words if and then to this biconditional and then reverse it. So our first statement is going to say if two angles are complementary, comma, then their measures add up to 90 degrees. And that is our first conditional. And just like we did for the last one, all we're going to do is we're going to reverse the order of this conditional statement that we just made. So now I'm going to say if two angles measures add up to 90, comma, then, now I'm going to write the hypothesis that I had in the previous statement. Then the two angles are complementary. Okay, and there we have it, how to write two conditional statements from one biconditional. So that's it for biconditional statements. We just learned how to write two conditional statements from one biconditional statement. If you felt like you struggled a bit with some of the terms I used, you might want to check out the videos that I mentioned in the beginning on conditional statements and inverse and contrapositives. So that might help you out. Other than that, I hope you found this video real helpful and that you kind of understand biconditional statements a little bit better. Continue to watch the rest of the videos, like and subscribe, and thank you all for stopping by.